What's up, guys? Today's gonna be a fun video. We are going to react to some legit Guinness verified, more or less, world record records.
Oh.
In memory, specifically. Now, there's tons and tons, if not hundreds, of Guinness World Records, and most of them are kind of weird. Longest fingernails, longest amount of time without sleep. I could go on. There's some weird stuff in there. But we're gonna focus specifically on the memory stuff, which is impressive. These are Guinness records that have been validated, have been put through a really rigorous test with a lot of conditions and judges and all these things that back up a claim. Now, that doesn't mean that there is a little bit of controversy behind how it was done and when it was done and by whom it was done. So we're gonna look at some of these, and then at the end, I'm gonna talk about a record that I will be trying very soon. All the details coming up, so stay tuned. All right, so let's talk about this record. On the Guinness World Records page, it says Dave Farrow, that's the who. The what is 59 total decks of cards memorized. Where? He did it in Canada at CTV Studios, Toronto. Interesting. On April 2nd, 2007. And here's the synopsis. Dave Farrow memorized on single sighting a random sequence of 59 separate packs of cards, that's 3,068 cards, at CTV Studios, the Daily Planet, Toronto, Canada on 2nd of April 2007. The attempt took 4 hours, 58 minutes, 20 seconds, not including breaks. Dave made just one mistake during the entire attempt, which he corrected unprompted.
Here in the studio behind me, you are watching memory expert Dave Farrow as he's about to set a new world record. He's been right here at Discovery Channel for the last 9 hours, reciting every single card of a record-breaking 59 decks. That's more than 3,000 cards. His job is to remember every single one, and he's now coming to the end of the 59th and final deck. Let's watch.
The 4 of spades and the 7, the jack. That was maybe the second level. The jack of spades.
Now, I will guarantee that this was not actually the moment where he did that. This is television after all. Maybe he finished it just before, but they had him redo that for show. Just making that very clear.
Very good.
All right. Hey, congratulations. Come on over here, Dave. Whew. That is...
I paused on the last one.
I struggle for words, you know. That's mind-boggling incredible. What was it like to do it? You've been working at it for a long time.
It's like a marathon with your brain. It really...
So also he said 9 hours he was there. So then what was the record saying? The attempt took 4 hours and 58 minutes.
It took 9 hours to recite them. How long did it take to memorize all of them?
It took a little over 20 hours worth of memorizing. We did it over a few days.
20 hours of memorizing over a few days and 9 hours to recall. So I don't know what exactly is going on with the record here where it says it was 5 hours.
I've only seen them once, and it took me about 15 minutes per deck to memorize.
This extraordinary test of memory begins with the jack of hearts.
What? Okay, let's take this as face value and say that this is completely legit, which I hope it is, since the Guinness has backed it. Really impressive. 59 decks of cards is insane. The most I've ever done is 31, and that took me quite a while. I think like 4 hours or something. You know, this was back in 2007. I'm assuming he's using some kind of person action or person action object, or not even. I don't even know. And then he's storing each deck of cards in a memory palace. Now, I had considered once upon a time to maybe think about doing this record. It's just a lot of work. So I emailed the person who had the record before him, who was Dominic O'Brien. He is a legit former memory competitor, 8-time world memory champion, tons of books out there, some that I've even read and got inspired by. So I emailed him when I was considering this. This was a few years ago. And he gave me his insight about this record because they went back and forth. Like it had said in the interview, 54 decks of cards was the previous record. That was Dom. And then 59 was by Dave Farrow. And then before Dominic, I think it was 52 or 53 by Dave. And then before that, I think it was Dominic O'Brien as well. So they went back and forth. Now here, he says in an email, Dave came to London a few years ago for the WMC. He had told a group of people that he memorized 59 decks with a single sighting, and it was filmed by Guinness in Canada. Legit so far. However, he also stated that there wasn't enough time to recall all the decks for the media to wait. That is probably very true. So we answered questions on positions of various cards, which is what we call a matrix attempt. Not saying everything in order, but saying, okay, what's the 45th deck, 6th card? Still really impressive, but not a full test on whether you know everything. That could be argued. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, and by definition, this is a record in a category of its own. Still impressive. I get where he's going. My record is 54 decks, all shuffled into each other, a single sighting, okay, which took 12 hours, and then complete recall of all 2808 cards, which took a further 3 hours. I made 8 errors, which is well within the 0.5% margin of error. I still claim this record today. Interesting. So yeah, they were allowed a 0.5% error on the amount of cards that they memorized. Dominic says, I thought about going for another record of 60 decks to beat the 59, but then decided, why should I if I still have the record? Good point. One thing I found it very difficult to find were actual the submitted videos of these Guinness record, like the entire thing. And I think it's a shame that the Guinness record page does not allow these for viewing. It just says, here's the stamp of approval, just believe us. And yes, they're very thorough in how they qualify and vet all these claims, but they can't be perfect. So I don't know what to believe. I don't know. Anyways, those are my thoughts on it. Let's move on. The next record we're going to talk about here has to do with memorizing random objects. Oh yeah, I'm going there, guys. Now it's a bit confusing because there are two kinds of records that I've found on Guinness World Records. It's most random objects memorized and longest sequence of objects memorized in 1 minute. The one that's most random objects memorized has no time limit. And that's a pretty big number. The longest sequence of objects memorized in 1 minute, obviously it's capped by 1 minute. The person who has the most random objects memorized, let's look at that record right now, by Prajesh Merlin from India, 470 total objects. And he did this in 2012. He recalled 470 random items in the order that they were read to him. Yeah, and this is totally doable, right? If somebody were to list, I've memorized over 300 words in 15 minutes. That's with a time limit. Here, it doesn't seem that there's a time limit. So you could just be told that list at your own pace, 470 items. And this has been a while ago. That's almost 10 years ago that this record exists. So interesting. Now let's look at the other version of this. It's the longest sequence of objects memorized in 1 minute. So this was done by Nabal Pagiar, 54 total items. This was done in India on 19th of December 2020. Although I believe Nabal is from Nepal. So does this make him the actual Memory King?
Yep.
So 54 items in a minute. It's not that crazy. I've seen people, and I've done it myself, memorize 50 words, 50 random words in under a minute. I know some people who can do it in about 30 seconds. So a random sequence of objects means that these are all nouns, right? A shoe, an apple, a balloon, right? These are all very easy to imagine. So that actually makes memorizing words easier. I don't know, maybe they were all on a table as well. I think I've seen that set up somewhere too, but still, that's fine. You just have to memorize some kind of word for what you're seeing and then put it in a memory palace, and it could be super fast. Now recently, oh God, I said I wouldn't talk about him again, but Mr. Bijay Shahi claimed to have done a Guinness record. Bijay, after his whole controversy with me and his whole faked death thing, he came out with this post where he said he had attempted, I don't know, his wording was kind of open to suggestion, but it sounded like he broke a Guinness record. In his announcement, he said he made a record attempt memorizing random objects. There was a picture of him at a table with some shampoo bottles, some this, some that. Okay, so it looked like he was doing some version of this attempt, either one, right? I didn't see 470 items, so maybe it was the 1 minute one. Who verified this, right? And the actual attempt. Obviously, at some point he has to submit that, and then the governing body, the Guinness governing body, will verify all the things that had to be included in the submission. And if he failed to do any of that, then he doesn't get the record. So as of now, and it's been a couple months, he still does not have the record. If you search the website, it's still by Nabal, the current and real Memory King of Nepal. So another message to BJ out there, please stop calling yourself the Memory King, because you are not the Memory King. You have proven nothing to be given that name, all right? All right. Let's move on. All right, this next one, I love this guy. Okay, so I don't know where he is anymore. I think from what I've done in my research, he was or still is a busker on Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, Colorado. I was actually there pretty recently, tried to find him, not there. So maybe he doesn't do it every day, maybe he doesn't do it anymore. But this guy is known as the zip code guy. And the Guinness record is the most consecutive zip codes identified. By David Rosdicher. And what did he memorize? 36 total zip codes. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's consecutive. And if you're not from the United States, there are 50 states, and each state has, it's complicated, but there's lots and lots of different zip codes, ranging from, I think, 0, 1 something something something, there's 5 numbers, up to 99 something something something. Now there isn't a specific zip code for every single 5-digit number, but just about. So David Rosdicher has memorized over 40,000 zip codes in the US, was able to correctly identify the addresses of 36 consecutive zip codes randomly selected by a computer on Guinness World Records Primetime Los Angeles, March 12th, 2001. So yeah, so I think the way his shtick works is you say a zip code like 33133, that's mine. And then he goes, oh, that's Coconut Grove, Florida, right? Or Miami, Florida. And he was able to do that 36 times in a row. Super cool. It's hard to find footage of this guy, at least super recently. Let's watch a quick clip of how he does this.
What is your zip code where you're from?
29654.
Honea Path, South Carolina.
68131.
Omaha, Nebraska.
07090.
Westfield, New Jersey, right?
Super cool, right? I've always wanted to have this, but it's obviously a lot of work to practice for this, but it'd be a super cool geographical memory feat to just be able to say, hey, what's your zip code? Oh, you're from blah, blah, blah. In terms of how it's done, I mean, if this is his one thing, I'm sure he just spent a lot of time memorizing it. I don't even know if he has a system. It would probably make that a lot easier to convert the numbers into pictures and then just store all 40,000 bits of data. It takes a long time, but it seems like he's been doing this for a long time, so it's probably well ingrained in his mind by now. Very cool. This record is called Most Rotating Puzzle Cubes Solved While Blindfolded. AKA, how many blindfold solves of a Rubik's Cube can you do? So who? Graham Siggins, who is well known for doing multi-blind solves, 59 total Rubik's Cubes. On November 10th, 2019, so pretty recent. So let's read what it's about. The most rotating puzzle cube solved in 1 hour while blindfolded is 59 out of 60 by Graham Siggins at the OSU Blind Weekend event. So that's a cubing event out in Oregon. He completed his attempt in 59 minutes and 46 seconds. Solving multiple cubes blindfolded is considered a mental accomplishment because the randomly mixed up state of every cube, blah, 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 blah. You're given an hour to memorize as many cubes as possible. So it looked like he went for 60 and made it within 59 minutes and 46 seconds, under the hour. And then the goal with his blindfold is to take all 60 of those to solve them. Let's have a look at what this looks like. Totally nuts, right? And I've done a couple of videos on blindfold solving a single Rubik's Cube. You can watch that here or here, wherever. To do this for multiple Rubik's Cube, you know, the actual amount of information you have to memorize for a single deck isn't that much. It's just a short string of letters. So to do it for 60, you know, you just need a memory palace. For a single cube, you don't really need a memory palace. You can just remember it. But for more, you obviously need some way of storing all that information. So I haven't talked with him specifically about this. Maybe I'll do that in a future video, but he's definitely using some large memory palace to store that. Actually, he did send me a message when I made my Super Mario video memory palace thing. He's saying he uses a Super Mario 64 memory palace as well. So that's cool. Now, this is the last one we're gonna do today. Might do more in another video, but there are a lot of records. So this one is very interesting. This is actually the record that I will be attempting. I love the idea of this record because it encompasses both mental and physical aspects. How many can you memorize? That's the mental side, obviously. And then you got to hold your breath, right? And the longer you can hold your breath, the more you can memorize. And it gets painful to hold your breath after a while, so how can you keep your mind composed while you're trying to do some really difficult memory task? What I wanted to share here is the actual record that I'll be trying to beat by Sanchit Sharma, who is an Indian, great competitor. Haven't met him, but I've competed against him virtually. The record is 67 cards, so he did a deck of cards plus 15 cards. So he needed 2 decks to do this. And here you see them doing some kind of random shuffling. You need to have judges who will randomly shuffle this beforehand, and you get 2 separate decks. They're not shuffled together, that's important. And he'll go underwater with one deck, memorize it, and if he needs the other deck, they'll pass it to him. He just can't surface until he's done with his attempt, whatever that may be. Then afterwards, on dry land, out of the water, he'll take a fresh deck or 2 decks and put them in the order of the cards that he memorized. Now you see him holding onto the ladder here. It's important for the record that you're completely submerged. So just putting your head underwater isn't enough. Let's fast forward here. It's not clear from the video since it's cut a lot, like how much time he actually spent underwater. I wish you could see the actual timer. But here he is after. Oh, it says 2:22. Okay. Now I know Sanchit is very fast at cards, so he probably did quite a number of reviews in 2 minutes 20. It's not a crazy long breath hold, so he went more on his ability to memorize fast. I think I will be doing it more on how long I can hold my breath, just because I'm not as fast as him with cards. So here you go. You can see him putting the deck of cards together. He has this fresh deck in front of him in order Ace King, and he's got to pull them all into the order that he memorized. That's a super cool record, I think. So let's talk about the event. All right, so when will I be doing this? I'll be doing it on November 13th. It's a Saturday coming up. At 3:30, the event will start. I will be streaming it on my YouTube channel live, so you can watch it here. If you're in the Miami area, you can definitely check it out. It's going to be held at the University of Miami pool deck. I'll be in some corner over there, while other people are probably practicing their diving and swimming laps. But I'll be there. And the event will be sponsored by Mind Lab Pro. Look at these guys. Oh, I love these guys. I've talked about them in my last video and a few other videos. They're a nootropic blend that I take every day and I reap the benefits from mentally. Helps me stay sharp and it's helping me train for this. The way the record will work is I'll be attempting a certain amount of cards, trying to beat 67 cards. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna try to beat. I'll just show you when I do the attempt. And I'll go underwater, memorize the cards as long as I can. A lot of people ask me, how long are you gonna take? And it's like, well, as long as I can do it before I die, right? I can only hold my breath for so long. And then when I get out, I'll put those decks or deck in order and we'll compare. And the goal is to beat 67 cards. Now, why am I doing this, right? Well, a couple things, the mental and physical personal challenge. I love trying to break a record, especially a Guinness record. I've never tried a real Guinness record. I don't have one. It's kind of one of the things on my checklist in this memory world of what I'd like to do. I have the Grandmaster title. I have my USA Memory Championship. I've competed and gotten top 10 at a World Championship. Guinness record would be nice. But on top of that, kind of bigger than everything, November is National Alzheimer's Awareness Month. And as many of you know, I started this journey into the world of memory because of my grandmother. She had Alzheimer's, and if she hadn't struggled, I would have never come down this road. And anytime I can raise awareness for the disease, especially during a month where it's the topic of the month, I'm down for. And I really want to make an impact, try to get some media around this, have you guys watch this and realize what it's for, and hopefully bring some attention to the disease, which is still one of the top 10 killers, at least in the United States. And it's the only one that does not have a cure or preventative measure. So please tune in November 13th. If you're watching this video after that, I'll definitely have a link somewhere in the description or above of where you can replay that and watch it in its entirety. And please check out MindLab Pro. I'll leave the link in the description. You can check out their products. And if you'd like to make a donation to the cause, I have a few suggested charities below that you can look into and decide which one makes the most sense for you to donate to. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And once the record's over, I'll be doing a follow-up video on how I did it and what the preparation was like to go about it. I think that's gonna be the most interesting thing for you guys as a viewer. How did I do this and what went into it? So stay tuned for that. Please like, share, and subscribe. And make sure to hit that little notification bell so that you get notified when I post a new video, which I'm trying to do as often as I can for you guys. I love you all. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. I am out.